All right. So a couple of announcements. One really, really big announcement. I have 3 major sales in a year. The last one is upcoming in October. So I wanted to let you guys know if anyone's going to be buying Portrait Studio. I mean, unless you need it like ASAP, hold off until October. So it's just one more month. October 1st is going to be the Portrait Studio sale. It's going to be up to 50% off its current price. Right now it's at 70. It's going to be like at 35 or 45. So you're going to be able to have it at a more affordable price. I just do this because it's around the Christmas season. It counts as one general sale for the last quarter, and that's it. But this one's going to be the lowest one out of all the sales that I've had. Before the 1st of October, there's going to be a Mac release, and Abu's completely done. He's just polishing things up at the moment and exporting it into Mac, running it on Mac, stress testing it, making sure that everything is running and smoothly running, and not just working on one certain kind of spec, but it's going to be applicable to even 3-year-old Macs or 4-year-old Macs. And there is also going to be a really, really interesting and exciting release of my book as an app. You're going to be able to get it on the App Store for Android and iOS. My book is going to be officially released as an app. I know that's weird, but it's, those reading apps where you get to dim the screen and scroll and it pans for you. That's how my book is going to be released. There will be eventually a physical published version, but I want to release it in this format because I get to edit it and keep writing it as I with updates. So the app is going to be updated with more chapters. It's going to be released as a complete book. It's not DLC or anything like that. But the book will be updated constantly. Typos, additional comments, recent work will all be added to the app. Really, really big deal updates coming up. Also, you guys have 1 month for the September challenge, which is going to be the not the javelin, the other one. I keep forgetting it. And I've been extremely, extremely busy. Lots of drama going on in my life, so I haven't had a chance to publish the resource pack yet for you guys. But it will definitely be available before the 1st of September, so you guys can have a full, nice month to complete your challenges and submit them, because there's no poll really, so you're gonna have all of September. And then September the 28th will be the due date for the challenge coming up. All right. So September 27th. That's Thursday. And then October 2nd, it might be the 27th or the 2nd of October, just so that you guys can have a complete month, because October 2nd is the Creepy Creature Challenge. So you guys can fully illustrate your creepy creatures in your illustrations and background and all of that. You get to have full reign over composition. It's not going to be illustration based similar to, opposing to what we're going to be focusing on in September. Jesus. So October was going to be the character design illustration for creepy creatures. I do this every year. And it's just going to be Halloween themed, and it's going to be really, really fun. You guys get to just, I send you a resource pack of different animal parts, and you combine them and create your own creepy creature. Go as creepy as possible, but it has to be a functional creature. And if you have it in an environment, then the environment has to reflect the creature. It's always going to be like that with my challenges. So Portrait Studio update coming up as well. Then there's Portrait Studio Mac release. And then there's, by the 1st of October, then there's 2 challenges. It's the end of the year madness. Usually the fall is really, really creative, really crazy, really fun. Lots of stuff will be covered, and it's just been a really weird summer, but I'm so glad it's over. It's windy, it's rainy, it's fall leaves, it's crazy cloud formations. It is just my element, and I'm happy that the summer is finally complete and this nightmare is over. So let us go on for today. For those who want to submit stuff for Critique Hour, you just have to go to istebrak.com and click on the Google Plus icon to join. There have been some people posting photorealism. Please read the rules and read the segment on photorealism. I don't welcome it. And I don't welcome people pretending like the photo bashed or photo edited photo is a painting. I've worked in this business a long time. I know when a photo has been worked really. I know a fake painting when I see one. All right, I know a fake painting when I look at one. I, as your teacher, struggle with that kind of realism, and you just pop up out of nowhere from your 14-day challenge, which look like beginner art. All of a sudden, you're painting photorealism that looks like a photograph. That's not possible. It doesn't work like that. So No more lying, and no more fake paintings, and no more photorealism. Okay, I've seen like 3 people pretending like their art is a painting is a photo is their painting. If I see any more of those, it's an immediate ban. And if I see any more photorealism, it's an immediate ban. As for fan art, let me clarify what fan art is all about. You're allowed fan art if it's like a realistic link and it's just like a fully realism, you've gone for it. I don't take partial realistic World of Warcraft fan art that is less realistic than the actual game. Like I don't take fan art like that. Fan art is a very, very strict topic here, and my mods are also very strict about it. So any kind of fan art that that has zero effort behind it, or an unrealistic version, or less realistic than the game, or as realistic or less than the game it's based on, or the movie it's based on, I'm kicking it. I'm not accepting anything that isn't an attempted study. Fan art can be a study if you're pushing your realism, and just having fun with the character because you really like the game or movie or show, like a realistic Morty or a realistic Rick. But if it's a sketchy, hand sketched kind of World of Warcraft character that looks exactly like the game style, that's an immediate ban. That's not allowed. Okay, so let's get started. Lots of stuff to cover. I'm going to be focusing on adding character, but this time it's for weird little creatures. So that's going to be interesting, adding character to creatures, not so much the same theme, same trope character looking at the camera. And then a little environment study. Any questions before I start at all? When is the book release date? The book is almost finished. It's just a matter of editing and finalizing and perfecting the app. So it's more of a write the book and then build the app, which is all Abu's department. So it depends really on what kind of hurdles we're going to be facing, because it's really unpredictable to tell what Mac issues we're going to have and what update issues we're going to have. Like imagine this, the last update we had completely destroyed everyone's Portrait Studio. We had to help everyone reinstall their Portrait Studio. The reason why that last one happened is because we sent out the update and then there was a power outage and the internet went out in our area, in our entire area, while the update was extracting and patching, and it just corrupted everyone's Portrait Studio. But this time around, I hope nothing happens. We've been having internet outages all day, so I'm not really sure. That's the kind of stuff that might delay an update or a release, but hopefully the book will be sometime in September, sometime in October. It's really just a matter of putting it together and releasing the app so that you guys have something to read. And the book will continue in writing. It will have free updates for life, just like we do with Portrait Studio. So the book will always offer you more and more. You don't just finish reading it and are finished with it. I will have a section for class notes in the book that I extract from student notes. I'll have paint over examples from classes. It's just like a written version, kind of like a written home base, an app home base for my class as an app, but it's a book of everything you need to know. It'll have chapters you can skip through. It'll have comments, questions that you guys have, any questions that accumulate throughout my experience with you guys on Critique Hour or private tutoring. I will answer in the book. Hopefully that'll shed more light on some of the questions that are repeated. A small little community tab won't be enough to really cover everything. Everyone's always asking me for like a crash course version, and there's no such thing as crash course skill, but their books can help build a map in a student's mind of what's expected of them and the knowledge pool and all of that. So there's that tidbit. How much will the book be? The app will probably be between $15 and $20. The book physical, I'm not really sure about that. I have no idea. And the non-app version of the book will be something like $10 to $15 as well. I'm not really sure how I'm gonna figure that out. I want to make the price fair because of all the work that's been going into it in the written version and the development. The fact that it's an app, what Android takes as a share, and what Mac takes, Apple takes as a share for their store. But I hope I can find a fair price for you and for me. There will also be a desktop version of the book, but that's going to be tricky to figure out between the app and between the desktop and between the physical copy and then the downloadable PDF, which is going to be in editions because it's constantly edited. This time around, I want to take my book seriously because it's a very, every time I've released a book, I've released the final copy. Whereas this one is the total thesis of everything I've done as Istebrak online, which is a lot of stuff that I have to cover, a lot of themes, a lot of questions to answer, and a lot of experience for me to reveal to you guys and help you guys with. So it's a lot went into it, and it's really tricky trying to balance everything out. Okay, any more questions? Tom's swear jar must be pretty big. All right. Pole vault. Yes, thank you, Rebecca. Pole vault is the theme for the upcoming challenge. 20 portraits of Istebrak Senpai incoming. Please no. Okay, so adding character to creatures. We already have the costume going on. So the costume is signaling a lot of cues here for us. One of the biggest cues that costume offers is culture. So the cultural cues are that he's primal. Probably patriarchal, maybe not. All right, what else? Is that they are very religious. All right, kind of a little bit like morbid or morbidity or something similar to that in that they reuse human skulls, like a war culture. All right, so a war culture. What else? The war culture, maybe a proud culture. Maybe cannibalistic. What else do you guys have? I'm not sure how to write. Cannibalistic. Then we have partial human, partial body parts. I'm not sure if this is his face. It's actually skinned. But he seems to be a zombie of some kind. All right, and there's a magical element. Lots of shit going on. You guys take way too much. Look at the list. Look at how the list looks like when we put this character in writing. Look at that. Look at the kind of like the landscape you've built here in the themes and concepts you've tried to cover. So he's primal. It's a paternal religious kind of culture focused on morbidity and death and blood and sacrifice. War culture, very proud. Cannibalistic. Is that the word I wrote? Proud? Is that what I wrote? Proud? Did I write this? Zombie, magical element. So he's dead. He's undead. And demon, primitive, tribal, something with shamanism. Excellent. Paganish. Beautiful job. Look at how much you've covered. But he looks like he's standing there holding his wife's purse at the mall. Why? Why does he look like he's standing there holding his wife's purse while she's changing? Maybe he's a little bit uncomfortable. He's airing out his crotch as well, because that would explain why he's not standing normally. Okay, so why is this a problem? Because none of the primal says forward hunch. So let's transfer these words into a gesture. Primal, forward hunch in the gesture. All right. Paternal, kind of patriarchal. Sorry, kind of proud. All right. So there's a bit of pride there. Probably a little bit of an okay. And then religious. So those are the religious artifacts that we have here. How many of these words can be transferred into a gesture? War culture. So really, really forward hunch. Kind of athletic. Kind of ready to pounce forward. All right. Very animalistic. Big hands. Bent knees. All right. Ready to go. Kind of like a sumo stance or something like that. Did I write proud? Yes, you wrote proud at Istebrak. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Cannibalistic. So that can be transferred into costume. Zombie. That can be a gesture. So, something like that. All right. And then magical. That is the costume aspect. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different gestures available to you to use, but again, he's standing like he's peeing in front of a urinal. I'm stuttering a lot. He's standing like he's peeing in front of a urinal, And he's just like, he's just waiting it out. He didn't even bother using his hands. He kind of just let it go hands free. All right. This is bad character design because you're not actually manifesting like the character through the theme. You're just dressing up a standing mannequin with costume. That's not enough. Look at how many opportunities and signals you had. So we can use this, and this all as ways of dressing up this character. So the fact that he's undead, so let's grab this little list we made, this useful little list, which you guys should be doing. And this is what I mean. Turn your character into writing, at least for brainstorming. Turn them into like a brainstorming session. How many goddamn times have I edited these keyboard shortcuts? I don't know why it's doing this. It's paste in place. Paste in place is Control V, accept. Okay. So how many of them, why is it resetting them? Image, flip image horizontally. Why? Why is it undoing them all? Doesn't matter. Okay, so how do we make him look like he's primal, war culture, strong? What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the size of his upper body. Oh, for the love of Jesus. Alright, so I'm increasing the size of his upper body. And I'm kind of going to do this whole, like, forward-leaning deal. Because he's kind of, ready. He's leaning forward, just like this little gesture says. It's raining quite a bit where I am. If I get cut out, that's why. Oops. Okay, and then I'm just gonna kind of squish the top. So he's kind of like leaning on one side. And then I'm going to start just by, alright, maybe I'll do that after. I'm gonna shrink the legs so that he's more top heavy. Merge that down. Shrinking these legs down a bit. There we go. That's a little cartoony though. I don't even know if I really changed the size, did I? Yeah. And then moving it over. Alright, and then what I'm going to do, so we're looking at primal and patriarchal, so that means that we're going to be, let's just forget patriarchal for a second, and then war culture, and then zombie. Proud is, I guess, patriarchal as well. So let's move into the more advanced kind of gesture changes. Alright, so primal needs a little bit more, a little bit of tilt in the head, kind of some expression, the morbidity and the evil of his face, kind of just bringing that in as an expression, really lowering, it look like that dog for Nightmare Before Christmas. Right, I'm going to lean one arm up, one arm down, lean his body over. If he's a warrior, his legs are spread in an open gesture, kind of ready to kick ass. Alright, so what did the list that I just make, what did it offer us? What benefit did we get out of making that list? And you can do this for all your characters. It's just a bit of brainstorming, goes a long way. And look how little it took us. It took us like a couple minutes. Elbows out, very athletic. Elbows are always out for athletic characters. Okay, too patriarchal. For patriarchal gesture, needs big dick energy. Alright, I'm also going to shrink the size of his head, just so that he doesn't look like a cute kid. Oops, exactly the opposite I wanted to do. Alright, the horns are all bloody and scary. Alright. There's not much I can do because of the gesture that you have. There's not much that I can do. Because what's happening is that this whole antler thing going on here needs to come down. So there's not much that I can do without editing or redrawing the whole thing. Oh, for the love of Pete. Select inverse. No. No. Right, that's all I wanted to do. Just so everything is beneath the neckline. Another thing we can do is lean the head in all kinds of ways. Deselect. Lean the head that way. You could lean the head that way. It's just all different ways of messing with it. Alright. And then what I can do is make one leg, so I'm going to turn this shit off. What I'm going to do is make one leg a little bit more arched down. A little bit more out than the other. His bent knees are signaling that he's squatting or he's lunging or about to lunge. And the other leg like that. So if we're going to compare just these changes, and they're actually pretty minimal. It's still a very boring gesture, but just looking at where it was before. Hello there, I'm Herbert. I'm here to register for WowCon. Alright, and after a little bit more active, a little bit more happy. I mean not happy. A little bit more excited. Okay, so one thing that kind of just got thrown off is how much of his space is on the canvas. Alright, so gesture is something you can track down, physically track it down verbally. And for the love of God Almighty. Alright, so you can track it down just like this. Each word that you associated with the character has a gesture that you can represent it as, and you can pick and choose and combine as you go. There's only so much. See how many religious, morbid religiousness or whatever, the cannibalism, the magic aspects, those are all things that you can do as a costume. He doesn't have a face, so we can't represent any expression at the moment or personality. So his personality is only a combination of gesture and costume. Alright? So, the list offers a way to analyze the character and therefore address how to make them more interesting. I like the whole thing would have to be done. I think the whole thing would have to be redone to have more of an interesting gesture. Not really. Not really. I don't think it'd have to be completely redone. But you know, where we are right now, just the movement of the head beneath the neckline has offered that forward haunch, which was the biggest deal, really. All of the gestural, all the descriptions here were pointing to a forward haunch, the really big ones. The zombie one is, I guess, in his walk cycle, I would do the zombie one. Maybe I'd make one leg have a little bit more of a mummy leg. Like yours truly. Filter, liquefy. So a mummy leg would really do a lot, and he'd kind of like limp his way through, and that means his whole body is leaning down because of the mummy leg. See how zombie-like that looks? And I'm just gonna redo the fucking face. I'm so sorry for all the swearing. I'm really angry lately. Alright, so we fixed that, and the whole body's collapsed on one side because the leg isn't stable. See that? That's how we can apply mummy or a zombie to. Okay, so this is some really quick shit. This is the stuff that you can do with basic gestural blueprinting. Just throw in some lines, throw in some general values together. Make it work when it's nothing but a pile of shapes. Make it work when it's nothing but a very abstract representation where it's all spirit. It's all just movement, just motion. Make it work when it's on that level. And then when you apply detail like costume and expression, you're just going to add even more magic to it. Again, we're going back to that characterization, how to add character. And gesture is a really, really powerful tool for that. Zombies are slow though, and this dude looks like he's just rammed a guy with his horns. Well, it just depends on what the writer, I mean, at this point it's a question of a good writer or a bad writer. I've seen a lot of zombie looking shaman dudes like that still function. So they may be slow, but they're tanks, and it's hard to kill them. They have some attack power, and that's it. All right, any more questions at all? So I wouldn't really work too much with the zombie for your correction, because what we want to do is just make the painting work without having to redo the whole thing. So one of the problems that you have here is you have a really, really terrible light environment. And the light environment that you have is representing a dark scene, but, and this is one of the other paintings has this issue today, but you have really, really high brights on the horns and on the skull. So if you're at a loss for what value to use for the background, just use a gray. Really nice, really clean, gives you an idea of how much contrast you have, because look how muddy you are. You have zero detail everywhere. You have almost no real texture difference between the hay skirt, the chest hair, and the fur, the texture of the character, and the scarf or shawl or whatever pashmina that he's wearing. Pashmina shawl. So you're going to have to think about what it is you're rendering and how the light source is going to help you reveal it. What are the cues that the light source throws off that reveal the character? Oh shit, I forgot the axe. It's okay. Alright. So where I would start is I'd start by figuring out, is there really that much of a difference between the texture and value of the skull of the deer and the antlers? So just now I saw someone with an antler head, some freak hillbilly, I'm sorry, with an antler head pinned to the front of their truck. Sort of post-apocalyptic fucking, I don't know what. And what I noticed is that because their truck was so dark, the antler looks like it was glowing because it was so white. It was just pure white skeleton. So the texture was very, very similar. So what you want to do is just think about that. Also think about color zones. I'm not talking about skin tone color zones. I'm talking about how you want us to perceive the character. So if he's dark throughout, make him a little bit more interesting. Make him light to dark, top down. So select inverse. So make him more white towards the top and have more dark hues towards the bottom. And then what's in between is just so this is a color zone I was talking about. Is just something like that. So you're carrying colors just like this across. You're actually following this gradient. This alone looks great. And it gives you a chance to create some depth. So if you want to restart anything, I say restart the rendering. And then move on from the rendering. Before you do the rendering, figure out a little bit more of the gesture. Figure out how you can represent texture with more detail from the top down. So what's happening with the straw can't compete with what's happening in detail around the face. So the fur here can be a little bit more textured, a little bit more detail. Okay? So just before we did all of that, I'm just going to go back. Alright, so before Herbert cosplaying, really friendly guy, is an accountant, day job 9 to 5, has 2 kids, really likes Magic the Gathering. And then after, a little bit more of the actual character that he's portraying. Okay. Let's move on. So this character is a proud royal king of something. He's a rabbit. He's cute, so you've got cuteness that you have to show off, which is big eyes and a big body, tiny nose, tiny mouth. So you've got cuteness, but you've got the really, really proud dad. Where else have we seen this in cartoons? Really proud, but cute, but royal king of something. Where else have we seen this? Dun, dun, dun. Very cute. Big eyes. Okay. He's a royal king, so he's a king of something. He's a sultan. There you go. Fat Jasmine. For anyone who was curious what she looks like. Fat. There you go. Muscular Jasmine. Anyway, focus. This is what... you love Herbert. What we're seeing here is a very, very big belly. And if we were to just fill in the redness here, so very, very big red dot compared to the dot of the head. What you have is the opposite of that. You have either equal or the entire head space is bigger than the body. That's problematic. If you want to show a fat, cute king, you gotta go all the way. He deserves it. Okay, so where is this? Yes, I'm going to just keep going. Alright, we've added character by changing body type. And look what's happening with the necklace. The necklace is now contorting to the changes of the body. So now you have a little bit more perspective, which is really cool. I'm just going to fix the hand, decrease the density a bit. Alright, I'm also going to try to make it so that the cheeks are kind of just like throwing his whole face out of whack. Because his face is so chunky. And the belly is pushing up against his neck, which is pushing up against his cheeks, which is just, again, using the nose. Just like the necklace, the nose is another V shape here. You know how like really, really overweight people, their eyes are like squinting all the time? That's kind of what we have here. I like how he looks like a worried king. That's really cool how he did that. The crown is looking a little bit funny. The crown is very, very feminine. That's kind of similar to the crown that Ariel's dad had in Little Mermaid. What you want to do is have something that's a little bit more regal and not such a feminine shape. Triangle is a very feminine shape, and you've used it enough times already. A nice even shape here won't look like such a feminine crown. The more squared the crown, the more masculine. The more twirly, the more feminine. Okay. Another really, really fun thing to do is just make him even more big, is increase the size of his sleeves. Okay, so he actually looks older. And his gesture is like, you know, like, oh, I'm a king, I'm really nice. But I'm also really tough. Where are my crab cakes? Maybe not crab cakes. Where's my carrot cake? Okay, so I'm just pushing all this up. And trying to tuck this sleeve so that it's pushing against his scarf. He's like a lion mane, whatever, bunny. Okay, so a bit more characterization. Feels more royal, feels more larger than life. Royalty is usually very big anyway because they eat as much as they want. And I'm going to shrink the head. Yes, I will shrink the head. Alright. So this guy has got all the carrot cakes in the kingdom at his disposal. It's a big, beautiful, absolute unit. Alright, any questions at all about these changes? So he's got the proud chest going on. He's also got the big belly. A little bit less off kind of shape for the crown. A little bit less feminine. I would shrink the crown. Because what you've done is you've made the sleeves very big. This whole thing, I'm just going to bring it down. It really doesn't need to be that thick for us to see him as a king. If you had a queen, I would give her, yeah, that big, beautiful crown. If he reads is a lot more masculine now. Before, kind of just looks like a guy dressed up as a king, really. And after. Alright. As for the perspective in the nose, you might want to hide some of that. There's a little bit of rendering needed around the mouth area, like everything is pointing to it. Mustache, beard, and nose are all pointing to the mouth, and yet there's nothing there. So have a little bit more detail there, and you need other signatures that he's the king. So maybe a large cape would actually help with this. Everything is like a status symbol, really, with royalty and how you dress up royalty. And depending on the kind of kingdom, if it's more medieval, which I think you are going for medieval, the king might benefit from a more flat crown. Those really flat crowns. You know, the ones that I'm talking about with the arc. Those little really flat ones that go like that instead. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? The flat ones? Yeah, okay. It's wabbit season. A cape would be so cool looking. No capes. Istebrak, is there a way to differentiate between our cultural values spreading into character and the character's written culture being expressed through costume? Sean, at one point or another, everything you write is an imitation of life. And there's no way for you to create a whole universe of culture. Because you're either talking about male, female, patriarchal, matriarchal, birth, life, death, religion, murder, blood, war. These are things that you are going to write about. Even if you try as hard as you wanted to create a whole new world, you won't be able to, because these themes will be repeated. So it's not our culture, it's the only culture that we have currently. We haven't studied any other culture of intelligent beings that we can borrow from their canon. We only have our canon. So don't worry too hard about being original and then forgetting about stuff that reads, because if you don't base it off this life, you don't get anything. You don't get a response from your viewers. There will always be a hierarchy of power. There will always be war. There will always be nature. There will always be love. There will always be death, enemies, villains, revenge. So even throughout different cultures, even comparing like closed off cultures, there are concepts for death and revenge and life and birth. Just because humans are their most denominator identity, I guess, is just a universe, very universal. Okay? So on that note, where you can get a difference between how you represent values, cultural values, maybe, I mean, it'd be really weird. You have poles. You have either female values or male values. Really, that's it. Like the archetypes in Jungian psychology. You either have a patriarchal society that is based off war, strength, valor, or you have a feminine, healer kind of hippie society, which is all about love and giving and nature. And pagan religions tend to be very, very feminine, and Christian or Abrahamic religions tend to be very masculine. It's just about observing history and seeing what you pick up from there. So the values have been seen before. It's just, are there particulars that not everybody has seen? That's your responsibility as the writer to go find those particular weird manifestations of values based off different cultures. All writers have to do research. Okay, with the B&A, looks like he swallowed a huge gumball or something, but I do think better choice of colors would have made him more appealing. The background value is very off. So it's always the background value with you guys. Okay, so I'll give it a background value like that, and then I would use a universal value like the background color here, and just use it on the fur, use it on the shirt. You see that? I'm only using the background color here. And look at how unified he is with his environment. Isn't that stupid? Doesn't that piss you off? You guys are sitting there for hours trying to find the best colors. All you had to do was choose the background color and to make him look more interesting. All right, a little bit of that background color there. I don't know why you have subsurface scattering on the ears. There's nothing to reveal any kind of subsurface scattering. And you really shouldn't give him cute pink ears. He's trying to be a king over here. All right, so this is where I said you need to have a little bit more brightness. The shadow here makes no sense. The shine on the jewelry should be more of an environment color. In fact, I'd go into full white for the jewelry. That'll make it a little bit more sparkly. The jewelry gets to be way too dark considering that it's illuminated, but it's in a dark room. It's not really making sense. It's not a consistent light environment. And it doesn't have enough, for the love of God, it doesn't have enough shine to it. And then again, I'm just bringing in that light environment color, which is the gray. I'm just using it ever. That's way too bright. I made a mistake. Okay, altogether the whole value of the character is just too dark. Select inverse. So how would we correct that? I would start by doing this, decreasing saturation, and then bringing down the levels a little bit. That might have helped ever so slightly. Nope, it just desaturated him. Let me go back to the levels. Just raising the brightness up a bit. You have way too much shadow in certain areas. But it's getting there. It'll get there. Maybe a little bit of a contrast adjustment. Auto contrast. Okay, it's getting there. It's looking better. But where you were before, dark muddy background. Didn't really make sense with that crown. I mean, what was he? The king of the sea? What's with the crown? You know, he's a bunny. We're supposed to be able to see the ears. So you've completely hidden it. He just looks like an old man who's also a king, but we like a fat, nice king. A fat, nice king is just how it is, how it happens. The darkness on the lower half here is really bothering me. And then have a little cast shadow there. Would be really nice. Give him a nice little cast. Make it big because he's a big boy. Okay. Good place to start is by changing the background value. Alright. And then we have the owl, which is from the same artist. So again, you have all the shine on the character, but the background value is just super dark. It's just, that's not good presentation at all. I'm trying to figure out a good spot. There we go. So all this shine, no light environment color to reveal it. You have to unify the background environment color with the colors you choose on the object. They go on everything. This is the universal wash. This is the color of the object. Okay, just look at that. He starts to become one with his environment. Really, really simple changes. If the light is coming from the side as you've cued here, then you have to start making decisions for cast shadows. So this helmet piece would cast a shadow that way. This entire half here is a little bit more. This one does need a couple of changes for the gesture. Where do we start with his changes? Does anyone have any answers for that? What should we do to him? So list it. What are ways you can describe this guy and his culture? So I want to see some keywords here. So let's go. What are things that we can do? So for me, I would start off by saying a court. So he's part of a royal court. He's maybe the royal guard. What's the religion of the royal guard? What is their religion? Is it something more pagan, or is it something a little bit more mainstream, or not mainstream, but a little bit more, is the word secular? I'm not sure what word it is. It's not so much Christianity as the religions similar to Christianity, the ones that have a holy book and a royal whatever, and a pope and stuff like that. Like they have messengers for their cult, for their god, and it's mostly monotheistic. I don't know what the word is. A general, okay. Ornate, regal, very nice. So what gestures do we attach to that? Very proud, right? Chest out. Abrahamic, patriarchal. Owl of Olympus. So what are the gestures? What kind of gestures are we seeing? So I want to see the word you wrote and the gesture beside it. Military. Orthodox? I don't know. Sincere guard. Gesture, emotions. Better light environment too. The feathers are really dark. Chest up, leaning up. Represents royalty, honorable yet fierce. Expression seems like a soldier or someone very high. I see it as Catholic. Yeah. Greek or Roman. Seems like judgmental, sneaky, vicious traitor. Interesting. I like how you read that in the dark eye circles. Who? What are you saying who for, Manny? Oops, Johnny, I modded you for a second there. Mod. Sorry about that, Johnny. 3 seconds of fame there for you. Gesture, head tilted up, looking down on the viewer. Beautiful. How do we make his head look down on the viewer? So we have to start by representing all these key words that you guys are throwing at me here. So one of them is the chest is out. Another one is the completion of that C shape. Look at that. Just 2 little C shapes that we added. We have to complete it and make him reach a very elegant point. Look at that. Very, very regal. So regal means just basically like a cape following him, just like that. And then expression. Now we have a face. So maybe he's inquisitive and at the same time, what? Something like that. A handbag? And then we have a little bit of age. Maybe the sneakiness. I like the sneakiness. I like the squinted eye. And the sneakiness. Alright? Maybe a little bit more pizzazz. He's kind of like a vain leader. Very, very vain. Very proud of himself. So adding more of these C shapes here. Really giving him that shoulder pad. Sorry, my liquefy is still a goddamn joke. And then, for him to be looking down at the viewer, yeah, we need a bit of perspective, but it's a character design. We're not allowed to do that. So what we do is you know that GIF from the interview? The GIF, any of my mods, can you guys find that GIF for me when one of the interviewers who goes to North Korea, he's like, what? You know, like he kind of just does this gesture where his shoulder is in front of his head. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? I'm also going to shrink the size no, I'm not going to shrink the size of his head. No, I'm not. Alright, another thing that we can do is give him more of a male ballerina pose, which is the... I'm going to just flip the canvas, flip horizontally. I'm just going to do this because it's easier. Alright, moving this over there. It's just a ballerina pose. I guess it's not particularly male. Filter, liquefy. Just to make him look like he's standing with his leg out, like the way they did back in the Victorian era paintings. As if they're saying, you there, fool. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to flatten the foot, and I'm failing at it. Raise one of the eyebrows, make it look like he's trying to manipulate his victim. Let me see. It's not so much manipulate his victim as it would be, very nice suggestion, as it would be, kind of just questioning, what? He kind of seems like a nice guy when I do this. He's like more curious and enraged. I want him to look like he's proud, like he's looking down at us. So there's no emotion at the moment. It's just very, very proud boy. He's a very proud boy. Recenter him, because why not? Alright. And then I'm going to do the fun stuff, which is delete, bring down layer, and just tuck him behind his shoulder. Look at that. Look at this cocky boy. Okay. It's not so much like a Dracula thing as it is just him being very, very proud. And I'm just gonna just throw in that little bit there. So it's would be the shoulder being tracked down this way, and then I think I failed at this. Let me see. I think it's okay. We just got to figure out where the head ends. The thing is, what I want him to do, which I can't do, is, you know, completely like cock his head all the way up, which means that I'm doing a lot of perspective changes here. Do you see that, like looking down at us, and then his beak would be just there, and he's kind of has that kind of thing going on. I don't know why I just drew a pigeon, but that's kind of what I'm going for. So this is where I want all these positions, but I can't do that at the moment because I'd have to redraw the whole thing or edit for another 30 minutes. But remember that that's what I was going for just now, so keep that in mind. This is one of the biggest changes. Did I do that before or after? Nudge, layer, order, move. Okay, so that's where I did it. Okay, and then we still have a problem though with the where the wing is and where the rest of the body is, because you're not completing that C shape here. So you need to differentiate between the different layers. Where the feathers are. Where the head is. And then the belt. Okay, so a couple of changes. The foot here might need to be, because he is athletic, he is military, so military was one of the words you guys added. So he could do a little bit of that. So he can stand a little bit more proudly. And then this, I'm just going to redraw this. The liquefy did not, I mean the transform did not do it well. Okay. I'm not really sure how an owl's foot looks, but I'm just doing my business. Okay. One thing you could add is in Guardians of Ga'Hoole, they had these like little attachments on their feet that made them stronger. So you can add like a little golden weapon here, like a nail. Just like that. Okay. I would continue on to complete this C shape. And as for the colors, you still have a lot of issues here with the colors and the now he just looks like an angry grandpa. I'm going to make his eyes wide and just take out that squint. Okay, so he's a little bit more proud. Sometimes birds, like chickens, have these bums, like chest bums. I might want to add one of those to help us find a symmetry line, so we have even more of a C shape here indicated. Okay, and because you have this feathery thing, I would want to make his eyebrows longer or thinner. In fact, I would make his eyebrows thinner if I were you, if it doesn't throw off the anatomy of the particular owl you're going for, a particular species. Before, he's just a little shy. It's just a shy owl. We're here. He's a proud owl. Shy little baby boy. Proud. Any questions? Proud, angry ballroom dancer. Aren't the golds too orange? A little bit, yeah. I would, to correct that. Easy peasy. Just move it over into the yellows, just like that, and you'll have more yellow, more golden. Peg leg. Yeah, the little chest hearts, those are so cute. They are. I love the voices. So, http://:// Oh, not this one, no. Proud gift the interview. I don't know. Interview. GIF. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. But a low camera. So this isn't a good reference for the gesture, but it's a good reference for the expression. And the gesture, but with a different camera. Fabulous owl. Cunning, fiery eyes. So that's a lot of how characterization can be easily tracked down, how it's easy to do this. And imagine this is me hacking away at pre-existing pre-finished paintings. Imagine what you can do when you have that gestural control early on before you even start. Remember, only spirit, just the spirit of the gesture is there, just the spirit of the character. Crazy lassos, values thrown here and there until it looks magnificent. And so when you add values and you add detail and all that wonderful stuff, you have a solid gesture that carries the entire motion, that looks interesting from far away. A lot of these look like potatoes from far away. If I were standing away from my computer, like all the way over there, and I was looking at them, and I'd just be standing there like Herbert, or whatever his name was, they would look like potatoes, all right? I want to see the gesture when I'm all the way on the other side of my living room. Okay, so for this piece, what I don't understand is that the sun is setting, but you don't have a cast shadow off this massive mountain side because you wanted to cast a shadow for this dude. You got to choose one. You got to follow the rules, and it'll still look good. You may think, you're in no position to question whether or not a cast shadow. I mean, it's only natural for you as the artist to question whether or not a cast shadow will work, but you're in no position to make it seem like one cast shadow is better than the other. A cast shadow is a cast shadow. It's a beautiful thing. So what we can do is cast half of this mountain in a cast shadow and then have the entire valley in one long one. You can still have an ambient shadow coming off of this, but we still need that general cast shadow. Doesn't that look good? That still looks good. A cast shadow is a cast shadow. It's going to look good. There's no one that looks better than the other. If you took a picture of it, if it's there, then it looks nice. It looks more realistic. Here, it was nice, but it didn't make any sense. It looked like an eyesore. The cast shadow of this building. Okay, and then we've got the halfway cast shadow for this. And then if for some reason this cast shadow ends, this one can continue. And then we have submerged down, and then we have the illuminated areas, which I'm going to do with dodge tool and then erase away. Do I put protect tones on? I'm not sure. Oh, right. And this is the cast shadow edge for that, and that's the rest of the mountain range getting some water. I mean some water, some light. So a little bit more brightness. In fact, this was futile. So there is no one cast shadow better than the other. Now all you gotta do is represent the right time of day. Holy crap. Represent the right kind of day and the right temperature for the sky. So this is a sunset. So sunset, it's not blue skies. Maybe some of the skies are blue. But we're gonna need a lot of orange. Alright? Which warms it all up. And then we've got the actual sun ray. And then you have depth, but you don't have blurring. I mean, these mountains in the distance must be like Mount Kilimanjaro level or Mount Everest level size. They're huge. I'm just going to throw some more subsurface scattering because this triangle of this distant mountain is right above the POI, which is the point of interest, which is this little dude here. Because this is the most important part of the entire painting, you have to start treating it like it is. So it gets more contrast, it gets more detail. What is it about this place that is so particularly interesting? Okay, so before, after. Do you see that atmosphere? When you fearlessly throw in a cast shadow. Alright? You sing the song of Valhalla and you go in there riding like the Valkyries into the cast shadow and you cast the cast shadow fearlessly as your fathers and your forefathers. Fearlessly into battle you ride and fearlessly you cast it. Whether or not it's over detail you worked hard on, it's okay, you the artist. And if you gotta get a little horsey instead of a chair so you feel the heroic... Never mind. I'm being an idiot. Right, so I'm just casting the shadow. One cool thing about cast shadows is that they have this rim of saturation. You know those little horsies, the little rocking chairs in the playgrounds? They're like rocking horsey chairs. Okay, just get yourself one of those. Whatever you gotta do to have the courage to cast the right kind of shadow. You do what you gotta do. Right, just a bit more brightness down here because that's the ambience. And then this cast shadow is just fine where it is. Can the cast shadow happen in the other cast shadow because of the ambient light and diffusion? Yes, it can. Because it's double the layer of light being denied. Cast shadows without fear. Yes, you broke your arm on those horses. Oh no. So what I would do is this color temperature here needs to be transferred everywhere. So it's not just around. It's everywhere that you need to go. This orange. If it really is a sunset. So that way when you do use green, you use it rightly. I'm joking. It actually has this massive impact when you have it there. And then you just got to make sure the background, the sky, is as bright as it needs to be. I wouldn't use so much white here. This is just because of the dodge tool. Where are you? That's pretty cool. I think this is a good spot. Too green. Just depends on what we do with the sunlight. You can keep the old sky color if you want to, but it wouldn't be cast shadows like that. There'd be shorter cast shadows if the sun was high in the sky. Or you can get the new value. I'm going to do a little bit of both. Like a little bit of both. There we go. And if this is water, if this here is water, this needs to go up. It needs to reflect some of that light. And it needs to reflect the light environment. It needs to be brighter. So water reflects the light environment. So water reflects the walls of the room. Write that back to me. So whatever the walls are saying, so whatever brightness is up here, that's the same brightness down here in the water. And then you've got the actual light source, if it's reaching the water. Then there's the reflection of the ground. The hill directly in front. That needs to be a bit more present. And then these little clouds, some of the ones at the top, right at the top, are catching a little bit of light. But, bam, bam, that's the cast shadow of this dude. And what we do with these is we blend away at them. Really, really pretty little clouds. Just don't forget to cast the shadow of the pillar on the clouds, because the pillar is higher than the clouds right now. I miss you, Photoshop CS5. But you changed. You betrayed me. Okay. So this here, I'm just going to use sharpen tool, because I don't have time. And then I'm going to use dodge tool to just make this the focal point. All I did was add a bit of sharpness, which is edge work, and a little bit of contrast. Water reflects the walls of the room. So if the room here is a certain time of day, then it's going to have that reflection. Let me use another brush for those clouds. Remember, if you're trying to figure out how to add the clouds in, you just have to eyedrop the actual light source. That's the color of the clouds. This is just my pencil brush. It's already scattered, so it's really cool. You know what I found? I found some jackass online selling smudge brushes. Inventive and new technology, and to make traditional work, your smudging, look like traditional work. And I'm just like, dude, this guy just totally stole my brushes. And he had my brush icons there. And it was really, really weird. Cringe. Inventive, new technology of my own design. That's exactly how they wrote it. If you guys find these pirates, tell me where they are. Take them to the gallows. Any questions at all? Just to clarify, during a sunset, the sky from brightest to darkest in terms of yellow, green, blue. The sky from brightest to darkest in terms of hue is yellow, green, blue. Sometimes it's yellow, pink, blue. Sometimes it's orange, red, blue. Red is very, very dark, and blue is a little bit darker. It just depends on how intense the sky is and how intense the drama is that you're going for. But the green isn't always there in the sky color for a sunset. The green isn't always there. But by green, if you mean a turquoisey blue that's kind of already pre-mixed, it's not even blue anymore, it's turquoise. Because there's no pure blue in a sunset. Not the way it is in the daytime. Blue it will confuse students. There's a turquoisey blue that already has considered the green in it. And then you've just got yellow as the next door over. But pure daytime, 3 o'clock kind of blue is not the same as 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock kind of blue if the sunset is at 7. Istebrak, when you say to unify the background with your character design, do you mean to use it to light the character or simply to complement the piece? And what are you referencing? Are you talking about the upcoming challenge? So before, a bit more daytime, but you have sunset cast shadows. And then here, it's the sunset has been completed. We're using basically realistic units here. If you're talking about the challenge that to unify the character with the environment for a creature design is for the creature design challenge in October, you gotta make the character look like its habitat is that environment. Right? As a creature, is it a slimy creature? Is it a legless creature? Is it in the middle of a desert? What's the creepy creature? Is it a creature that haunts the wintry tundra, or is it a creature that lives in the swamps? And how can you reflect the creature in its environment, its chosen environment? As for the upcoming challenge, the character pole vaulting, right? Yeah. The character pole vaulting, they need to pole vault because they need to get around large rocky formations. So the challenge is in how you reflect the environment through the character and the character through the environment. However, 70% of the painting is environment, 30% of the painting is character. So it's not a character design. And if I see a massive character in the middle of the book cover illustration, and remember it's a vertical canvas, not a horizontal canvas. We're talking about climbing rocks. I'm not looking at it. I mean, I will look at it, but I'm going to bash it. I'm going to bash it really badly. Give it a bash. I'm not going to bash it. I'm just going to let you know you didn't follow the rules and give you a slap on the wrist. I won't slap you on the wrist. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to... I don't know. I can't really do anything, can I? If you guys don't follow the rules, I can't really do anything. I'm pretty much screwed here. You guys can do whatever the hell you want. But there will be a contest, and you will not be a candidate. There we go. You won't be a candidate for the poll at the end of the challenge. I will host a poll where the community will vote for the winner, and the winner gets the sessions with me, gets Portrait Studio copy, gets brushes, gets if they don't have a tablet, they get a tablet, or they get art supplies, which is similar to the last challenge that we had. So the class is done for today. If you have any questions, please ask me. To join the class, click on the Google Plus icon here to join. Please read the rules. I'm not lenient anymore with rule breakers. There's different categories for different things to post. Remember, 14-day challenge has its own category. And then we have the store if anyone's interested in buying Portrait Studio or my brushes, but be very, very careful buying Portrait Studio unless you really need it, because there's going to be a sale in exactly a month on September, not exactly a month, but soon, September 31st or October 1st. The update will be released by then, as well as a official Mac version, an iOS version of Portrait Studio for desktop. The sale will happen hand in hand with the release. Maybe the release will come out before. Because we're bringing in massive assets very, very soon in this upcoming update, we're bringing around like 200 new assets. The price may go up a little bit. This is just to stay fair, just to keep things calculated in ratio to what we're putting in and what we're getting back. It's just all business. And it's a small price raise, but every time there's an update wherein we had to bring in a lot of new assets to add into Portrait Studio, the price goes up just a bit. That's just the way we keep it fair. We don't really have DLC. So you get the free update, but the price goes up. So before the price goes up, I will have that sale at almost 50% sale. I'm giving you guys more than enough time and notice for it. I will give you another 2-week notice, 2 weeks before the sale. Who here does not have a copy of Portrait Studio? Just say me. I hope that this sale helps you guys out. Let me see if there are any questions. You're very, very welcome, Wexen. Thank you, Titan. Would you recommend doing concept art for your own characters for your own work? I'm working on a couple of novels, and I was wondering if it'd be worthwhile to draw them. Of course it is. I mean, if you've already written the characters, nothing's more fun than bringing your own characters to life. That's why we started drawing, because we had characters in our minds. No, adding more models doesn't mean more lag. It means more options for you to load and combine different models together. Abu has done his little hocus pocus magic where no matter how much we're adding, the frame rate stays pretty high, right? Yeah, high. So for those who don't have a copy and are interested in buying it, please don't get it now if you can't even afford the price at the moment. A lot of people are messaging me on Facebook asking for a price decrease. It will come in just a month. In October 1st, there will be the fall sale. It will go on for 2 weeks for anyone's interested. For anyone who's interested, and I'll have a 2-week notice video around, come on. Around September 15th, I'll have the video notice that it will be up in 2 weeks. And then in 2 weeks, it will go on for 2 weeks, starting from the 1st of October, which will also be this day one of the Creepy Creature Challenge. And then the 2nd will be the due date for the upcoming Pole Vault Challenge concept design, which you guys should not be starting because I have not written it yet. I mean, I have not published it yet, and I have not put up the resource pack. So you guys don't know the full-on details. And I haven't written it. Anyway, I'll let you guys go. It is done. It is. I have written it. But it's not been written as a post. It's been written as whatever it is right now. It's kind of like a little 500-word mess. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I will see you guys on Thursday, the 23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You will submit entries and challenge submissions over here where it says challenge submissions. You submit entries here. This was our last challenge. And that's it. That's where you submit them. Okay? And I'll have you go to all posts, you go at the very top. I'll be pinning the resource pack at the top. And to download the resource pack, you go to the community tab and the TBA here. I've just announced it. So I'll be uploading the challenge resources, the resource pack right here. The link will be on my website. Okay, I will see you guys on Thursday. Bye, everyone.